What's up, gang? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video I'm going to be talking to you all about my journey with modeling. I'm going to try and keep it nice and short, but it is a bit of a long story and I don't want to leave out any important parts, but I'll do my best. So I always loved the idea of being a model, but I was never skinny, I was never petite, I was never what you would call the stereotypical size of what a model should be in, society standards or whatever. So it was always almost just like a long lost dream that I had, because I never actually believed that it would be able to happen. So I guess I just enjoyed being in front of the camera. I always enjoyed getting photos. All of my friends and family always knew me as the one that wanted to get photos all the time. So whenever I would hang out with anybody, I would always ask them to take photos of me, like just on their iPhone or whatever. And it was just kind of this ongoing joke thing where every one of my best friends or family members had a folder on their phone that was named Sarah, because whenever we did anything or went anywhere, they'd always end up taking so many photos of me that they just had a folder on their phone filled with photos of me, which looking back makes me realize how I feel like I was always on the right path even before I realized exactly what I wanted to do with my life or knew the kind of path that I wanted to go down. I think I was always subconsciously working towards it. So I didn't actually ever think it would happen. One day we went down south, me and my sisters, for my sister's birthday. It was her birthday party, so most of her friends and whatever were just kind of sitting around and drinking and playing beer pong and that kind of thing. I always loved the beach, so down south in Perth the beaches are beautiful. So I said, I convinced my little sister to come with me. She had an iPhone, so this is kind of where it all began. We went to the beach. I asked her to get some photos for me on her iPhone, of course. When we got to the beach, there was, we could see there was already like a photo shoot happening, like a proper one with all the big lighting equipment and like reflectors and just cameras and people and everything. So I was fascinated. I thought that was really cool. But of course, back then I didn't have a lot of confidence. So we kind of walked right down the beach and kind of kept tucked away or hidden from everyone else, because I didn't want anybody to see that I was getting photos taken of me. So we were doing that, just snapping some pics just on her phone, and then someone from that group of photographers started walking down towards me, and I was like, oh god, what are they doing? Put the camera away, act cool. He came over and he was like, oh, you're a model? And I was like, oh no, not a model, we're just getting some photos, for Instagram, whatever. He was like, oh look, we only have one model down there, would you be keen to give her a break and come and just help us out with some modeling? And I was just like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing, I've never done modeling before, didn't want to, no thank you. He was like, oh look, it's nothing serious, we're just we're here just for practice and training, and we just need a model to just practice, figuring everything out, lighting and whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, why not? Followed him back down to the others. Was obviously super nervous because I had no idea what to do. Had never done modeling before. So they gave me a pair of sunglasses. They were like, put these sunglasses on, pretend that you're modeling these sunglasses. Basically it was stand this way, turn this way. That kind of thing, gave me a lot of direction and whatever. And then afterwards they were like, yeah, what's your email address? We'll send you the photos, and we'd love to work with you again. So I walked away from that stoked. I was over the moon. I remember going back to the accommodation and telling everybody I was so excited. So anyway, that's where it all began. I was literally just kind of in the right place at the right time, and bumped into people that were already, photographers that were already doing that kind of thing in the industry, and it just kind of started from there. So interesting story of how it all began. But so from there, that same group of photographers got me back in a couple of times. I went to their studio in Perth. They had their own studio, so when we came back home they invited me down to do some shots there with them. So I shot in the studio with them, did another shoot in like a hotel room, like a sort of like lingerie style kind of photo shoot, more shoot at the studio with them as well. I just kind of regularly kept going back and doing shoots with them. They obviously gave me, they've been in the industry for years, so they were giving me advice and feedback and I guess kind of teaching me in a way how to pose and all this kind of stuff. So that went on for a little while. I still had like no confidence. I still didn't really know what I was doing at that point, but I just really enjoyed doing it. I then, because I have worked with a few of those photographers, I guess when you're in the industry, photographers all know each other. So then I started getting contacted by a few other Perth photographers as well, and started doing other shoots with other people. At this point, obviously, I didn't really know where it was going, but I was just building up my confidence and just getting better as a model, and just learning, I guess. I would post the photos on my Instagram. I then made a like modeling specific Facebook page, so that at that point, I hoped that then people would find my Facebook page and contact me like for proper like actual work and stuff like that. I was doing enough shoots that I started to build up like a little bit of a portfolio. So at that point I was like, okay, well maybe I do have a chance of being a model. So I decided to send the photos out to like agencies around Perth. This obviously, it was years ago, so I was a young girl. Didn't hear anything back whatsoever from any of these agencies that I sent photos to. So obviously being a young girl, not hearing anything back, not even like a thank you, like thanks for submitting, nothing, that was quite disheartening. So obviously then I had kind of lost a little bit of hope. I didn't think that it was going to go anywhere, but I still enjoyed it. So I thought, well, if I can just keep doing shoots the way that I am, why not, So I just kept doing it. I ended up doing a bit of work for like local fitness, like gym wear brands, which was really fun. And yeah, so the photos were just going on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page, and was just like my hobby, I guess. That went on for quite a few years with nothing really coming of it, but I was just enjoying doing it. When I met Tyler, he was doing very similar things to me at that time. Obviously we were both trying to sort of like grow our Instagram, and that's kind of when I knew at that point I wanted to sort of pursue that kind of pathway in terms of being an influencer or growing on Instagram. So a lot of the photos and the content that I was getting was just for my Instagram page. He was doing a similar sort of thing, so that was like amazing. When I met him, we started to help each other out and begin creating content like a little bit more specifically for our Instagram pages. Again, it was just on an iPhone, and we decided eventually that we wanted to upgrade to a proper camera. So he bought like a brand new, like full-on proper camera. We would then go out and try to get as creative as possible, just get as much content as we could. And we like learned how to use Lightroom so that we could really make our photos pop on Instagram. We started getting a lot of feedback, good feedback saying like how good our content was coming out, which was amazing. So obviously, like, because I would go out with Tyler all the time and get content, again, I was just getting more and more comfortable and confident in front of the camera. He was super helpful in terms of like telling me, twist this way, face that way, or that pose isn't really working, try this. So we would really help each other out with that kind of stuff. So that went on for a little while as well. Never really thought about modeling anymore at that point. It was just, I just was doing it for Instagram and just because I enjoyed it. So I didn't just specifically go out and get content because I was trying to get the attention of any agencies or anything like that. I wasn't trying to pursue any career in modeling. I was just creating content, I guess. Eventually though, Tyler realized that he wasn't really enjoying the whole content creation side of things with Instagram anymore. So he obviously voiced that he didn't want to continue doing that and wanted to put his energy and time into other things, which obviously was quite upsetting for me because I had got onto such a roll and gained so much momentum with having him there to take my photos, and whenever I needed content for Instagram or whatever, we could go out and get a bunch, and I just always had like an abundance of content. So I was quite upset obviously when he told me that, and I felt like at that point I hit a wall because I felt like I couldn't move forward without him anymore. I had gotten so comfortable and so used to only working with him, only getting content with him, that the thought of having to work with someone else, whether it was even just a friend taking photos or a photographer or whatever, was really scary. I just didn't have the confidence anymore because I'd gotten so comfortable. Like, Tyler was my comfort zone at that point. So I obviously got really upset, and obviously the momentum slowed right down, and I didn't really know what to do. Tyler said to me, he said, if you want to do this, you want to call yourself a content creator, you need to get more creative and find another way to create your content. You can't be relying on me to take photos for you anymore, because it's not what I want to do. So you either need to get a friend or find someone else to help you out, start doing photo shoots, whatever it is, set up the tripod and get photos on self-timer, like whatever it is, you have to figure out a way to make it happen. So I was really, really scared. I didn't really know where to begin. I wasn't confident enough to just start getting photos on a self-timer. I didn't feel like I really had any friends that I could ask to help me out at that point. So I decided, okay, well, maybe I will try getting back into photo shoots and stuff. I've done it before, like, why not? But I was really scared. So I contacted a few photographers around Perth, and I actually got told no, like multiple times. For whatever reason, it felt like nobody wanted to work with me, which, looking back now, is crazy to I think, to see how far I've actually come. And I remember so clearly how it felt when it felt like nobody wanted to work with me. I couldn't afford to start paying photographers for photo shoots, so when I got told no, for whatever reason, it was quite upsetting. So again, I kind of lost hope. I felt like I was back to square one. Came back to Tyler and I was like, well, I feel like I really need your help, like trying to get him to reconsider. And he obviously, he's quite stubborn, so he stood strong and he was like, look, you've got to keep trying, you can't give up just because, a couple of photographers have said no, they can't, unless you're paying for a photo shoot or whatever, they can't help you out. You have to just keep trying. There will surely be someone out of all the photographers in Perth that will be willing to work with you. So off again I went, sliding into the DMs, trying to figure out somebody to help me. At that point, that's when I found Marco. Marco was quite new getting started with photography. So that worked out quite well because it was like we could help each other out. I told him, I said, I'm not feeling very confident. It's been a while since I've done a proper photo shoot. He was obviously quite new to photography as well. I was so close to cancelling this photo shoot because I just didn't feel confident at all. But I pushed through that and I went, and obviously felt so much better afterwards, that I had gone and gotten out of my comfort zone. And yeah, just that was just the start of like where I got back into it. After that, things got worse with Tyler and I. We had a whole bunch of other issues going on, and we weren't working anymore, so we decided to go our separate ways. So with everything that I was already feeling in terms of not being confident to work with photographers, feeling like nobody wanted to work with me, I was just at a really low point in my life, and then combined with the breakup and everything as well, I really wasn't confident, and I just wasn't happy, and I was feeling quite low. I didn't want to give up, and my goal photographer that I'd always wanted to work with was Periwinkle. He obviously is like the best photographer in Perth, one of the best probably Australia wide even. He was just, I loved his content, I loved his style, I loved the way he edited, and I'd heard really good things about him, so I was like, this is someone that I really, really want to work with. It was quite a big jump going from just taking photos like with Tyler to then paying for a professional photo shoot. It was definitely a big step, but I just wanted to try. I contacted Periwinkle. I said, look, I'm not confident. I'm going to need a little bit of help. He obviously is very experienced. He knows what he's doing. He was like, don't worry, you'll be fine. Came really, really close again to cancelling on that photo shoot because I literally just felt like I wasn't going to make it through the shoot without crying. I just was in such a shitty place at that time. But again, I pushed through it. I wanted it so badly that I was like, I've just got to make it work. It was the windiest day ever, and I was like, how on earth am I going to like pose properly? He was like, you'll be fine, just do your thing. I went with it. And again, after that photo shoot, I was really, really proud of myself. I was so proud that I didn't cancel and that I pushed through, that I got out of my comfort zone. And yeah, when I got the photos back from him, I was so surprised. I couldn't believe how well they turned out. So I at that point I was like, yeah, I really want to keep doing this. And I got really good feedback with the photos as well. So it was the start of where I guess the start of everything actually falling into place, and it kind of gained momentum and just kept on rolling on from there. I think the next person I worked with was Ricky Santos. The photos that I got back from Ricky Santos, still at this point I still wasn't super confident. I still didn't really know what I was doing. I was still going through this breakup. I still didn't feel happy, but something changed in between shooting with Periwinkle to then shooting with Ricky Santos, where it felt like I had leveled up in a sense. And when I got the photos back from Ricky Santos, I was, to this day, they're still some of my favorite photos that I've ever taken. When I look back at the photos from the Periwinkle shoot and Ricky Santos, I believe that I can see in my eyes and in my face how much like pain and hurt I was carrying around. But I just love the photos that I had gotten from those shoots, and obviously knew that I wanted to keep going with it. The other goal, like photographer that I always wanted to work with, was the Nolan Bros. I absolutely loved their content on their page, and it was very, very similar to the kind of content that I always loved and wanted to create for myself. So that was the other like really goal people that I wanted to work with, and so made that happen and worked with them. And that was where I really felt like it was the turning point. That's where I felt the fire really burn bright inside of me, and I was like, I know I need to pursue this. This makes me happy. It makes me feel fulfilled. It's what I want to do. So, and again, still to this day, I look back at the first like video that I ever made with them, and that was it makes me feel something. I feel it definitely was like the real fire moment for me. And especially video content creation, I absolutely love. Obviously they say photos are worth 1,000 words, but for me, the videos are obviously 10 million times that. It's the amount of expression and emotion that it captures, and it just tells a story so well. That's just what I love so much about the video creation. So that was, after that, that was like the real turning point. At this point, I did start to have people contacting me more often. Obviously, like I said, once you've worked with a few photographers, your name gets out there a little bit more, people see what you can do. And it went from me not being able to find anybody to work with to people actually contacting me and wanting to work with me, which was an amazing feeling, obviously, compared to how disheartened I felt beforehand. So I think I did another 2 shoots before the end of the year, 2 or 3 more shoots. So I'd done about 5 or 6 shoots in that space of a couple of months, and already could see how far I'd progressed. So then that's when I set myself the goal at the start of January this year. I said, I want to do at least 1 photo shoot a week. I enjoyed doing it. I was slowly gaining my confidence and figuring out my style and whatever, and I just like, I knew that it was something that I wanted to keep doing. Set myself that goal, one photo shoot a week, and I don't know what happened, but it was one of those goals where you set, where you're like, oh, I want to lose like 10 kilos, but really in your head you're like, oh, I'd probably be happy with 5. Like, you overset the goal because you want to, like, I don't know, you set a bigger goal than what you actually want to achieve, but really you'd be happy with like a goal a little bit smaller than that. Like, that's kind of what it was for me. I never thought that I would actually be able to do one photo shoot a week, but it was like, I'll set myself that as a goal, and you know, I'll be happy even if I do one a fortnight or one a month or something like that. But I don't know what happened right from the start of the year. It was just this momentum that I was just on an absolute roll. I've absolutely smashed that goal. I've done one at least every week, sometimes 2 or 3. And I just, like, I couldn't believe where I came from to where it ended up. Like I said, having no one want to work with me at one point, not giving up and keep pushing through it, and ending up having photo shoots lined up and booked weeks in advance. Like, it was, I definitely feel very proud that I actually made it happen, and it's been the best feeling. Every single photo shoot that I do or have done, I've afterwards looked back and I look at the photos, and each time I feel proud, I feel accomplished, I feel like I can see that I've progressed. Everything is just, there's not been a single thing about it that I've regretted or haven't enjoyed. It's only seemed to have gotten better and better. So my point of this video now is to help others, I guess, empower others, inspire others to be able to chase their dream the same way. Like I said, I started off never believing that I ever could be considered a model. I mean, I still don't refer to myself as a model, but I never believed that I'd even come this far with it. I never fit the society standards of what a model should be, and now I want to obviously empower other girls to do the same thing. I believe with Instagram especially, like, and the way the world's going, there's no better time to pursue or chase any goal or dream that you have, really, because I feel like we're at a point in the world where you're no longer, I don't know, expected to fit into certain expectations or guidelines or whatever. Like, I mean, we have curve models now, we have plus models now, like, it's more possible now than what it ever was before. So that's the message that I'm trying to spread now. And with doing photo shoots, not only do I enjoy it, I absolutely love doing it. It's taken me to some amazing places. I get to go to some amazing locations. I've met some amazing people. I have more friends now that were my photographer that ended up being my friend than ever before. Like, I've just met so many amazing people. It's absolutely amazing for networking. There's not a single thing about it that I don't love. And so we all start somewhere. Obviously, I started off somewhere, and I want to help others realize, like, you've just got to start somewhere, and don't compare yourself. Don't look at what other girls are doing. Use other people as motivation or inspiration or whatever, but just don't compare yourself. That's the worst trap to get into. Figure out what works for you and your own style, and, you know, start small. Start with, even if it is just a friend taking photos of you on their iPhone, taking selfies in your bedroom, whatever it may be, just, you've got to start somewhere. So I hope this video helped explain, like, it's not been an easy journey. It's been a very rushed description of how it all happened. It was an emotional roller coaster. It still is sometimes. There's been many times that I've wanted to cancel my photo shoots, many times that I have cancelled photo shoots and rescheduled them because of how I've been feeling, because I've looked in the mirror and I've not felt confident, because I've looked at what other people are doing and I've compared myself to them. You know, going through that breakup, there's been so many times where I wanted to just not do any of it. I went through a breakup years ago as well, and I remember, if I never went through that breakup, I never would have I don't know if I would have continued modeling either, because at that point I had a little taste for it, for photo shoots and modeling and whatever. And if I hadn't have gone through that breakup with him, I don't know if I would have kept going, because my mindset at that point was almost like, I want to get back at him, you know, I want to, that whole mindset of get back at your ex and show them what they're missing out on and that kind of stuff. I went and registered myself to walk on a runway for the first time. I'd never done that before. Like, I would never have done that if I hadn't gone through that breakup and had that mindset of, you know, wanting to get back at him type thing. So I believe everything happens for a reason, and I believe I've always been on the right path. As much as I've had times where I felt lost and I've questioned myself and I've looked in the mirror and I've thought, what are you doing? You can't be a model, or any of those things. Like, it's all led me to this point. Everything that's happened has led me to this point, and I don't regret a single thing about it. It's definitely one of the best things that I've ever done. I never thought that it was possible, but now I just want to use the images that I get from photo shoots that I enjoy doing so much to then use it to spread my message. Like, I post the images onto Instagram, and the caption that I can then use to tie along with the image can help empower others as well. Not only that, showing the journey of where I came from to where I am now, I can use that to empower others. I just believe that everything has happened for a reason, and it's been a hard, long journey, and I know it's still going to be hard and long, but I just know now that I'm at a place where I'm able to help others, and I'm obviously super proud of how far I've come, how much I've progressed, and obviously want to just keep going with it and just see where it takes me. So I hope that gives you a little insight into my journey with modeling, and hopefully it wasn't too long-winded and drawn out. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you can, leave me a comment or a like or anything, I'd love that. So thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next one.